investment into just those innovations in the industries that we do well. Because the fact of the matter is this, and this is from a Saskatchewan perspective, we produce food, fuel, and fertilizer, and we produce not only the highest quality, most affordable food, fuel, and fertilizer that you can find in the world, and we produce it for over 150 countries around the world. We produce the most sustainable food, fuel, and fertilizer that you can find on Earth. And I think that's something for each of us to remember is never say never. We can always do better, and we should be making every effort to do that around this table on behalf of the folks that we represent. Thank you.
Thank you, Premier Moe. Mr. Redekopp, please, for 6 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Premier Moe. It's great to have another common sense conservative voice in Ottawa, Saskatchewan voice, sorry, in Ottawa to talk about the carbon tax. It's very clear that the Liberals are nervous about this meeting and that they don't really want to hear from Saskatchewan people, but I do. So as you know, the Parliamentary Budget Officer has produced a report that confirms this year alone, the average family in Saskatchewan is going to lose $525 to the carbon tax. And the NDP Liberal Costly Coalition plans to quadruple the carbon tax, meaning that families in Saskatchewan will ultimately see their losses increasing to $1,723 a year, according to the same report. So the NDP Liberal Coalition will be ripping out thousands of dollars from the pockets of people in Saskatchewan. What's the impact of the carbon tax on families living in our province? Oh, you're muted, Mr.
My apologies. That's the annual impact directly to Saskatchewan families, taking into account, what they are paying for the carbon tax, some of the indirect costs that are coming to them due to the carbon tax, a cost, for example, at the grocery store. But what we have in this province as well is that we're very much a natural resource-based economy here. Rooted in agriculture, and we're trying to climb that economic value chain. We're trying to climb with respect to the jobs that we're creating, the opportunities and the market access that we're creating. For example, we're attracting investment into the canola oil industry so that we can provide canola oil as opposed to the raw seed. That's climbing that value chain. It's creating jobs here at home, and where the carbon tax comes in addition to the direct impact to Saskatchewan families that I would put forward, drive more just because we are more geographically dispersed, in particular those families in the north. But it also comes into a significant impact in the jobs that are available here because industries are looking with, this is a hindrance for their investment. We have been able to attract significant investment in spite, I would say, of this hindrance, not in any way because of it. However, that's not to say that we aren't having active discussions with the industry and the people of Saskatchewan on how we continue to reduce our carbon footprint here. And so the impact is very real to families directly. It's very real, I would say, in particular to northern families where they traditionally have been heating their homes with electricity. They are seeing some solace and savings in that with the recent decision that the provincial government has made here. And we, again, extend to the federal government the opportunity to extend their decision around home heating fuel to all Canadians and all types of heating fuel. But they are having some reprieve on that as we speak. But I would say they still have to drive a significant distance for any significant level of supplies. And so families very much are feeling it directly. They're also feeling it through the job prospects and opportunities, of which I'd say are strong in Saskatchewan, but certainly could be even stronger.
So you've been a strong opponent of the carbon tax since you took office. Your predecessor, Brad Wall, was as well. You've had the opportunity to speak with the Prime Minister, launch legal challenges, et cetera. How many different appeals have you made to Ottawa to stop the carbon tax?
All of them. On every occasion that I've had the opportunity to speak with the Prime Minister, whether it be most recently, we had a significant presence at COP28 in Dubai. Saskatchewan did. We had over 60 provincial and national businesses, delegation, industry representatives, post-secondary folks that were with us there. I had the opportunity to speak with a couple of ministers, including the Minister of Environment in that setting. Each and every time through multiple ministers and the Prime Minister himself, we have voiced our opposition to this, what is essentially amounts to an inflationary tax. My predecessor at the very early days of its introduction, and I remember it well because I was Environment Minister at the time, I was in Montreal when the Prime Minister raised to his feet and introduced this tax on Canadians. I believe it was October the 3rd, 2016, if I'm not mistaken. But my predecessor, Brad Wall, had very quickly asked for, has anyone done the economic analysis on this? And I think what we're seeing today with the bank Bank of Canada's statement, Bank of Canada Governor's statement, or the Bank of Canada's statement around the productivity emergency that we are facing in this nation, tells us that no, we haven't done an economic analysis on this policy and many others, but it's high time we should. And I'm not in any way saying that we should be making decisions that are increasing the emissions in our industries, but we should be looking at what are the emissions in our industries relative to their counterparts and competitors in other areas of the world. Are we cleaner? And can we do more? And in the meantime, we should ensure that we are making every effort to make our cleaner products available to the world, displacing some of those dirtier products that are produced in other areas. And I think if you accept the fact that climate change is real, if you accept the fact that climate change is a global challenge, not just one in Saskatchewan or even Canada for that matter, we need to work together with our national partners on achieving global solutions.
So as you know, the federal NDP has been a strong supporter of the carbon tax, and they voted to support this Liberal government every time, including a couple of times last week. As Premier, how do you feel about an NDP party that supports this hurtful carbon tax and is seemingly against our farmers, against our oil and gas producers, and just not willing to listen to the pain of everyday folks in Saskatchewan?
It's disappointing because we have a provincial arm of that NDP party here that opposes Saskatchewan's wishes to remove the carbon tax, the consumer carbon tax off of Saskatchewan families, and ultimately the cost that it instills on the industries that are employing those very same families. When it comes to oil and gas, for example, and I'm happy to say that if the rest of the world produced oil and gas like we do here in Saskatchewan, the similar type products, global emissions from oil production would drop 25% overnight. That hasn't come about easily. That has come about by investment in the Saskatchewan energy industry, investment in methane reductions. And so the 60% methane reductions that were put forward a couple of years ago, our oil industry was actually able to meet them. They cannot get to the 75%